Honest to God, I live at 50 Queensway House on Bill. Right, 50 Queensway House. Council have just fucking plunged. They put a jet or something to try and clear the stack of the toilets because the toilets were overflowing. And my toilet is overflowing more than ever now. Seriously, apparently they jet sprayed the fucking stack of the flats, you know, where all the sewage goes down. And my toilet is flooding up even more now than ever. All they've done is push the sludge down another level, maybe. But I've still got fucking shit coming out of my toilet. My toilet is still overflowing all the fucking time. Anyway, apparently Theresa May can afford some like 40 or 400 billion pounds to get out of Europe, Your Majesty. Yeah, a message for the Queen, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, are you deaf? Elizabeth, are you deaf? That's a good one. Hey, Elizabeth, are you going deaf? That's a good rhyme, isn't it? Elizabeth, are you going deaf, or have you heard the news? That's Elizabeth, are you going deaf, or have you heard the news? The government can afford to spend something like 40 billion, or is it 400 billion? Pounds to get out of Europe, honestly. Oh, fuck no. And they can afford some like 400 or 14 billion pounds to get out of Europe now. The government is proposing. I was reading it in the news today. 400 billion or 40 billion pounds or something. The government has at least 40 billion pounds to pay to get out of Europe. They've got 40 billion pounds to pay out of Europe. They haven't got 40 billion pounds to pay on hospitals, have they? Eh? If the government can afford 40, Your Majesty, Queen Elizabeth, you are still the head of the country, yes? Queen Elizabeth, you are still the Queen of the country. Take control. You have imbeciles in power, Your Majesty, I'm Bill. You have idiots in power. For Queen Elizabeth, look at your country. You have imbeciles in power in Parliament. 40 billion pounds to get out of Europe. Did you know Theresa May had to pay Ireland something like £1 billion or £1 million? Yeah, something like £1 billion or something. She gave Ireland something like 10 million quid or something like that, or 100 million quid or something like that. She bribed Ireland to vote for Conservatives. That's the only way Theresa May stayed in power. At the last election, the only way Theresa May stayed in power was by paying the Irish party to vote for her, sort of thing, giving her, here's 10 million quid or here's 100 million quid or something, handing money out like that. And she wants to pay some like 40 billion pounds. I think it is definitely something like 40 billion pounds or something, maybe even more, to get out of fucking Europe. Right? If you can spend that amount of money to get out of Europe, 40 billion quid, why can't you pay for schools? If the government has 40 billion pounds to waste on Europe, if the government has 40 billion pounds to waste to get out of Europe, how come you have to pay for the National Health Service? Why can't they pay for the National Health Service then? Huh? Have you noticed today, on the 1st of December 2018, today, 1st December 2018, the Daily Mirror have started a campaign to help the National Health Service, sort of thing. Holding Hands campaign or something like that. Daily Mirror's idea, yeah? But I'm saying the government's got some like 40 billion pounds, it's not million pounds, it's billion pounds to waste to get out of Europe. Theresa May wants to spend £40 billion to get out of Europe, then why can she not pay for the National Health Service? Why can't the government fund all the hospitals? In 2018, why can't the government pay for all the hospitals? If the government can afford £40 billion to get out of Europe, that's the government's plan, Theresa May's plan. If the government can afford £40 billion to get out of Europe, why can't the government pay for schools? Why can't the government afford to fund the schools? Why are primary schools and secondary schools having to rely upon charity, Your Majesty, for the Queen, Elizabeth? It's 2018, the 1st of December 2018, and Theresa May wants to spend something like £40 billion to get out of Europe, which means the government must have £40 billion to spend. True? Your Majesty, the Queen, Elizabeth, this is your country? Yes or no? Right. The government has £40 billion to spend to get out of Europe, yes? That's their plan. I say, declare independence without paying a penny, Your Majesty. Queen Elizabeth, declare Britain as a monarchy. Fuck the politicians, Your Majesty. Get rid of all the politicians, Your Majesty. They're a bunch of stupid twats who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, Your Majesty. The politicians are a bunch of stupid twats who don't know what the fuck they're doing with this fucking world of ours. Of mine, actually. I would say, declare independence, say this is a monarchy, this is Britain, we're not paying you a penny. We've got £40 billion, according to the government, to waste. Now we could spend £40 billion on the hospitals, couldn't we? Wouldn't that be nice if you could spend £40 billion on the hospitals and you could spend £40 billion on the schools? You know, if you've got £40 billion to waste. It's true, Your Majesty. The government tells me they have £40 billion to waste. To give to Europe. Here, we're going to leave Europe. Here's £40 billion. So obviously the government has the money. Obviously the government must have the money if they can afford to spend £40 billion to get out of fucking Europe. I would say declare independence. No, declare a monarchy. This is the kingdom of Britain. Declare a king, for Your Majesty, Queen. Declare your kingdom. So this is Britain. The land I rule is the land you rule is the land you rule. For starters, it's Ireland, Scotland, well, Northern Ireland, well, if they want to be. Scotland, England and Wales. Scotland and England and Wales basically is the kingdom, Your Majesty. I think if sort of like, it's just one body, isn't it? It looks a bit like. Have you ever looked at the statue of Britannica? It's actually shaped like England, Scotland and Wales. Because Wales is kind of like the shield. Have you ever noticed that with the statue of Britannica, Your Majesty, Elizabeth? Like she's holding the shield. Yeah, she's always holding the shield in the pictures. That's Wales, you see. Wales is like the shield. And Scotland is like the crown. Anyway, it's a long story. But I'm saying if Theresa May can afford to waste £40 billion to get out of Europe, surely they have the money to spend on the National Health Service so that people can afford decent hospital treatment and free hospital treatment like it was agreed in the National Health Service. It's supposed to be free treatment for medical injuries in Britain. Yes, it was. It was supposed to be a National Health Service where you didn't have to pay for medicine because you paid your National Health Insurance. Why did we invent the National Health Service in the first place then? It was supposed to give free medical treatment to everybody. And no wonder everybody moves to Britain. I walk down the bloody street and no one speaks English anymore. You know what I mean? Seriously, I walk down the street sometimes and there's not a lot of English in the street anymore. It's all Polish, isn't it? Everyone's talking bloody Polish in the street. Sometimes I feel like a stranger in Britain. Because sometimes I still feel like a stranger in Britain. No one speaks English, so they don't understand my language anyway. You get the drift? You probably don't. So I've drifted some more. It's like, you know, there's Polish people living in garages these days who make a fortune out of it. You know, if you've got £40 billion, so seriously, if you've got £40 billion to waste, to get out of it, to pay Europe, I say declare independence, say fuck you Europe, we're not paying you a penny. I would declare independence as a kingdom of Britain, Your Majesty. You are the Queen. Elizabeth, I love the crown, the crown's excellent. But Elizabeth, you're a great actress. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. It's your crown. It is your crown, Elizabeth. Declare a kingdom. Get rid of the fucking politicians. Let people trade with us if they want to trade with us. But apparently we've got about £40 billion. How about if the government's got £40 billion, take the money and say, like, right, now we can pay for the National Health Service. How can you not pay for the National Health Service? If the government has £40 billion to waste to get out of Europe, well, we've got the Channel Tunnel. It's a bit late now, isn't it, really? It is a bit late to get out of Europe, truly, I suppose. It's a bit late now. We've got the Channel Tunnel. What we're going to do, the snip. It is a little bit late to get out of Europe because we've got the Channel Tunnel. We're saying £40 billion the government has to waste. Surely they can pay that for the fucking National Health Service. If they've got £40 billion, surely they can pay for schools. Or am I just a bad mathematician?